This is the Amp Hour Podcast, recorded November 4th, 2013. Episode 170. Job Judging Jeremiad.
Welcome to the Amp Hour. I'm Dave Jones from the EEV blog.
And I'm Chris Gamble of Contextual Electronics.
Who has been fooled by daylight savings yet again.
Yeah, we should combine them. As you said before the show, we should just... It's like getting fooled by April Fools over and over again.
Yeah.
We just keep getting fooled by the stupid clocks.
Something
can't they just make them
fundamental like
electronic?
time, you know?
Yeah. Time's an illusion, Dave.
Right, okay,
Lunchtime,
we don't actually exist.
doubly so.
Right. Good to know.
Yeah.
Oh, boy. Yeah.
Yeah, so I was late. Oh well.
Oh.
We always... It's good for us to not schedule a guest this day, because that's when we really get in
Yeah,
trouble.
that's pretty embarrassing if we don't turn up and the guest is sitting there. Hello,
Yeah.
anyone there?
Yeah. I just scheduled our guest out into February of 2014. That's how far ahead we've already got guests scheduled.
That's ridiculous.
It is kind of
What if
ridiculous.
we get like a really awesome guest, but they can only do next week?
Well, then you and I stop... Oh, next week only?
Well, I don't know.
I don't know.
Well,
Yeah,
we just
if it's
record
2 weeks from
them.
now, we just don't have people yap. And we do have an awesome guest next week, which we'll announce at the end of the show. Cliffhanger.
Well done.
Oh yeah, yeah. I don't know. I mean, eventually, I'd like to be able to go to be like special edition. Tune in today of the Amp Hour, but yeah, we're not there yet.
Right.
But maybe we'll get there eventually. You know, if you,
Yeah.
I think the big thing would be if you had time. I don't know if you'll have time.
I always have time. I don't work for a living, do I?
Well, no, but you're busy on the forum, so
Yeah, exactly. Nerding out.
yeah.
Can't help myself.
Speaking of, Vincent was very well received last week. I don't think I've ever seen such activity on the forum. Maybe because it was one of
The
their
forum's
own, or
own, yeah. Right.
yeah. But obviously, he
Maybe.
was a long and prolific show that was great content. I mean, like everything we talked about was a lot of fun, and yeah, people. I've
it was
never
cool.
seen response like that, even off the EV blog forum.
There
So-
were a lot of people who said that they couldn't listen to it because it was too long. Well, you couldn't listen to it in one sitting, kind of thing, and yeah. Well, that's always the same with long content. People go, oh, yeah, it's good to have, but...
Yeah, right. Yeah, you got to break it up a little bit.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, and it's better to let people do that versus us doing it. We don't do like part 1, part 2, part 10.
Right.
Yeah, he was great though. It was good to have him on the show. Yeah. So we'll have more good guests coming up. Like I said, I'm very excited about next week's guest as well, and I think everyone listening will be as well.
But you won't find out until the end because
you got to
we're
keep listening.
trying to keep that audience retention rate up to...
Or just skip
Do
to
we
the
have
end.
a stat to follow
No.
that? Because we don't, because people just download it, right? We have
Yeah.
no idea if they're just listening for 5 minutes going, they're just talking shit again,
Yeah.
and press stop.
Yeah, every 5 minutes. Oh, same thing.
Well, we've been
Chip
going
printing,
4
huh?
minutes talking
Yeah,
shit, so
Kickstarter,
we
huh?
better start...
Yeah. Well, speaking of podcasting in general, it feels like last week was like a rash of finding out about new podcasts after not having found one in quite a long time.
Right.
And there was a couple, actually, which I was kind of surprised by. One is embedded.fm. I don't know if you've ever heard of that one.
I haven't. They're using
No,
the
it's,
.fm instead of the wanky .fm. Making
well, we were
it
looking at
like
doing
it's an
that
FM
too. We
radio.
didn't want to pay for it.
No, but then we just realised, it's a wank anyway. We wouldn't use it as our primary domain.
It is what you make it. Anyways, so that's Alicia White and her consulting partner. I don't remember the partner's name because Alicia's the one who's the consistent one on there. But yeah, it's about embedded, and this is what I've been looking for a long time because I've always wondered why there wasn't an embedded podcast.
Right.
I think people would want to talk about. Yeah, it's pretty close to what we do. Obviously, I don't really touch code that often. And
Is it Right, so it's embedded software more than embedded
like
hardware,
firmware type of stuff. But
Right,
I think more
firmware,
on a project level as well. I mean, just kind of talking
Right.
about issues with, like, but like this is, I think Zombie Tech's another good one, but and I guess if you kind of video stuff as well, then like Asking Engineers another one. But like really just electronics kind of stuff. It's like there's we're in a pretty small group here, and this is another one, which is great. I mean,
Cool.
So
Welcome. We love competition.
Yeah,
it's good.
We were trying to get Vincent to do his own podcast.
They're colleagues.
Exactly. I just want stuff to listen to, man. So it's pretty good though. I enjoy it. And they're already 25 episodes in.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Is it a weekly thing?
I think it's relatively weekly. Yeah, it's only started a couple months ago, so
Sweet.
yeah. I mean, we know how it goes. You take a week off and it can start to slip, but it looks like weekly so far. So that's great. The other one was the Steam Power podcast, which was a little bit more general. Steam being for like STEM educational type stuff, adding A in for art.
Right. Yep.
And so it's a little bit more general, but good topics as well. Talking about things that are probably of interest to our audience as well, and they're up to 25 podcasts as well. So, check it out. Another good sciencey tech podcast. More
sounds
focused
like
on science.
Sounds like we're on the right bandwagon.
Yeah, we are the bandwagon, man.
Right.
I keep trying. I was just trying to tell Vincent he should start a podcast. That guy could just go for hours, but whatever.
It takes a certain type of,
blabbermouth.
Yeah,
like us.
Exactly.
Yeah. So, what you been working on lately?
I've been mucking around with measuring the resistance of vias. Yeah.
Yeah, I saw you post about it. I actually didn't get a chance to watch it yet, but so give us a little taste here. Give me a little hint. What is the outcome? Yeah. What's
the spoiler is filling a via with solder, at least a 1.2 millimeter one, halves the resistance of the via.
Oh, interesting.
There you go. Yeah.
How did you measure that? Did you just use like a 6.5 digit?
Yeah, a 6.5 digit multimeter with a 4-terminal measurement. So I pumped current through the via, and then I just tapped off 2 signal wires from the pad of the via.
Yeah.
And it was actually because I rummaged through my old box of boards. Everyone keeps like an old box of PCBs you've worked on, or whatever. I was looking through them, trying to find one that had the exact architecture pad that I wanted, i.e. a pad with current flowing just through that and nowhere else on the board. Like, there wasn't a different alternate path going somewhere. Yeah. And then it happened to have 2 wires tapping off, one on the top and one on the bottom. And there weren't that many boards in my...
It's like, where's Waldo, huh? For a PCB layout feature.
And I thought, it'd be easy to find something like that. No.
Yeah.
And in the end, I maybe found 3 different boards I could have used, but that was 3 out of 30.
Yeah.
It wasn't, or 50 or something. It wasn't a large number.
So now, what is your opinion on sharing vias like that? So I know that obviously you're measuring current through a via to test the resistance and everything like that, because for high current stuff. But for like non-high current kind of situations, do you often try and run as many traces to a via if it's a shared net for doing that kind of thing, or how do you drop multiple vias?
Well, for signals, it just depends on the layout. It purely, because there is no ignoring signal integrity stuff for a minute. There is no, reason to, you can have as many vias going anywhere, any which way you like. Yeah. As far as signal vias go. Although I'm not quite sure what you're actually getting at there. Are you talking about like a star point via or something? Or
yeah, I guess it would be a star point in that case, because you would if you had that many signals coming off of it. But yeah, I don't know. Right. I always wonder about that, because I always whenever I'm connecting up, common nets, and stuff that's not already going to like a ground plane or something like that, but just kind of common nets.
Yep.
You have the choice of trying to centralize, maybe like under a part or something like that, or you could drop multiple vias. But it's just a
that's a tough question to answer, because it's layout dependent, totally layout dependent. Whereas something like power, is different, right? Because this is essentially only for power vias, right? No one cares about the resistance of a via for a signal, trace, right? It's only for power stuff. And, and there's some basic rules there, i.e., if you're using just one via to pass power through, you're doing it wrong. Right, you've got to use more than one via for reliability, because when you're passing current through, you don't necessarily know what the resistance of that via is going to be and how it could crack with stress and long-term reliability and all that sort of stuff, which is part of the reason why you also solder fill these vias as well, because it's for reliability for power nets as well as decreasing the resistance and
making it friendlier for current. Yeah.
Yes. Yes. So so if you're, go into, if you get your calculator out and you're calculating the current and you're looking up your charts for your current capacity and all that sort of stuff, and knowing your plate, your via plating's 1 thou and all that sort of stuff, and you calculate, I can carry 1 amp through this via with a 2 degrees C temperature rise. That's fine, and you just plonk in your 1 via. It's just dumb.
It's not like you're getting charged by the via, right? I mean, that's the...
well, you could be, right? Excess.
Well, you could be. Usually, it's per inch or per square inch or per area.
Yeah,
that's what they
per
usually
square
do. Right?
Inch, yeah. So there is, in theory, you will get charged more for more vias.
Right.
A really ultra high volume production. It's more like a threshold.
It's not a la carte.
Yeah, exactly. If you puncture your ground plane with 10,000 vias, all right, your bareboard manufacturer is going to go, well, I'm going to go through X number of drill bits to do that.
Yeah.
And it's going to take X amount of time, so I'm going to charge you that machine time.
I think the time's the real big one there.
The time is the big one.
You get charged. I was shocked. I think it was Zach Hoken Smith who posted a video about, it was just a video like kind of panning across a facility that it was just drilling vias and through holes and stuff like that. And I guess I never really thought about it even, just thinking about, each hole is, you need to drill that hole. It's not like there's a chemical process that's eating down through a hole. It's like, no, that's a drill. Like, it's really just drilling that out. So,
and the machine has to move to that point and then
exactly.
And then pull it back out, then move back, Right.
And like you said, there's wear on the drill bit and everything.
Yeah. Each one takes, 0.2 of a second or something,
Right.
And that probably doesn't include flight time, to get there.
Right, yeah.
It adds up. Anyway, so, you can't just add 10,000 vias to your board willy-nilly.
Well, you could. You just gotta pay for it.
Well, you can. Yeah. Exactly, but they'll charge you for it. Mm-hmm. Anyway, so, the whole point is that you don't use, if you're relying on one via to support any sort of significant current, you're doing it wrong. So that's rule number one. Rule number two is always
look at your video there.
What?
I haven't seen your video yet.
So you haven't seen it. Right, okay. Well, I didn't go through these rules in the video because it was just a video on does it make a difference? It was sort of like a myth-busting type thing. How much difference does it make by solder coating the via? And... Anyway, second rule is you always leave your vias, your power vias untented, so that if you do have a wave solder process, you can actually get the benefit of having the wave bubble up and fill your vias for you for lower resistance and extra reliability. Bonus. For free.
Bonus.
That one doesn't cost you anything.
Yeah.
Which is great.
Don't cost nothing.
No, exactly.
So, thinking about the via stuff, and I guess like the number of holes and everything like that, I didn't actually put the link here, but it was on the hardware startup subreddit that I saw it, and it was someone talking about how commodity hardware is getting so commodity that the cost is becoming zero, right? Like, it's all diving towards zero. And obviously, it's never going to be exactly zero.
Of course.
But it's going to be low enough that, like, companies they'll give you a tablet to just in order for you to get onto their, their web store or something like that kind of thing.
Got it.
But I started thinking about that today. Obviously, this kind of just triggered me now with the vias, because there's cost from, if you think about designing for cost in that case, right? And if you're designing for the super low cost product, then you're going to also be designing for, minimal vias and super high integration of components.
Minimum number of layers. You got to be going single layer.
Single layer if you can. Yeah, I meant integration of component like on silicon.
Of course,
so silicon on chip or silicon on module, that kind of thing.
And then the next thing is to go single layer.
Single layer,
and
right?
Then, and then the next thing is to not piss money away on that FR4 material. Oh no, phenolic base all the way, folks.
Can you imagine opening up a tablet and seeing phenolic on the bottom?
Exactly. But hey, it's cheaper, right? Yeah. That's what you get. Yeah. That's what you open up any consumer bit. Open up your VCR. VCR.
Any power supply, definitely, right?
Yeah, any power supply, exactly. Yeah. You're going to find a single-sided board in there.
Yeah. And those are good examples of being designed for cost.
Yep.
I started thinking about it, though. So, what happens to the design side of it then, right? I mean, so obviously a lot of that stuff is designed overseas as well as being built overseas. But, it's not a new trend. I mean, I guess it's more focused on consumer, right? Like high volume manufacturing and everything like that. But that means that eventually, all of the engineering dollars get squeezed out as well, right? I mean, either you take a design that you've been making for 10 years and you make it for another 10 years, or you just don't pay anyone anything, and you just kind of hope it works. I mean, I don't understand how that works.
Generally, when you don't pay people anything, generally things don't get done.
Right. Okay. That's one option there. Okay. Well,
just
I don't know.
I point out that little inconvenient fact there.
Well, yeah, I know, but I mean, I just we could say that, right? But then there's always the reality of it. It's like, okay, well, this is going to happen somehow, and what I really want to know is what is really happening, right? I mean, so all these hardware costs keep diving down, right? If you can buy a tablet for $30, or you can buy a little tiny blinky gadget for 10 cents, right? I mean, there is at some point some modicum of design into it, right? I mean, maybe it's is the answer that it just gets copied? I don't understand.
Neither do I, because we don't live and work in China, I guess.
Yeah,
perhaps.
I guess we should figure that out. Maybe we should give the boys a call over there.
I don't know. How much are engineers working? How much are electronics engineers earning in China? Do we have any Chinese listeners?
That is a good question, actually. I think I remember someone saying the good ones are paid about 4 times less right now. That's
than a typical Western engineer, which would be what, $80K would be I'd say
average U.S. over the entire course of the country is about 100,000. Actually,
I
think
okay.
I mean, California jacks it up, right? I mean, because there's a high concentration there, and there's a higher cost of living. But I'd say so 100,000, and I assume that would mean 25,000.
That's pretty good. That's higher than here.
Is it?
Yeah, I don't think the average would be 100,000 here.
Oh, okay. Well, that's just what last time I looked at a salary survey, that's what it said. And I'm always surprised by it. I'm like, I'm not making 6 figures. I don't know.
That reminds me. I saw a documentary on TV the other day. It was on, our government channel. It was one of those.
Yeah, ABC.
ABC. Yep. And and it was a good documentary on how much people earn in, I think it was New Jersey. Don't quote me on this, but one of the lowest paid states in the US.
So you guys watch documentaries on New Jersey? Is that what I'm hearing here?
Oh, well, yeah. I mean, we were sitting there. There was nothing, and it looked interesting, right? So we thought, we'd watch. And it was a really good doco about how they've got all these, some of them were PhD, level people, and they had really good jobs before, but they can't get another job, so now they're waiting tables, right? And of course, waiting tables for $3 an hour or something, or $2 an hour. Yeah. It was, and if they don't get tips, they don't eat, and it's absolutely ridiculous.
That's how it is everywhere around here.
Even in California and New York and
somehow all of the food staff people and bartenders, they don't get paid minimum wage. They get paid some sub minimum wage, and then everything else is tips.
Yeah, it's sub minimum wage. Yeah, for some reason they get away with it.
Yeah, I mean, they can make a lot of money in tips, but
Right, yes. Apparently you can if you're good at it.
Yeah.
Or, yeah.
That'd be interesting if electronics designers got paid in tips, huh?
Right.
This design is really nice. Have a $5.
It's real. This one's
P.O.
really
box.
shit. It didn't include any termination resistors. Screw that. You're not getting your tip, fella.
Yeah, this thing's spewing noise like crazy. It's 18% minimum, folks, for parties of 6 or more.
Double on Sundays.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But anyway, I found that fascinating because they had all these really, highly qualified people. I think some of them were in engineering. There was one guy who was in engineering or something, and he couldn't get a job, so he's waiting tables for. It's incredible.
Yeah, but they don't tell you that some of those people do make like $300 a night. I mean, like it's not trivial,
right? Okay.
I mean, it can be.
Well,
right?
they seem to be. Yeah, they can, but they seem to be doing it really tough.
Yeah, right.
So.
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, that's weird that Jersey's like that. I don't know. It's we've talked about regionalism a lot as well. I mean, like I see Ohio's doing okay-ish. I guess I don't have I have a job right now, so it's hard to really feel the pain of someone. Yeah. Well, yeah, but I mean, like like when you have a job, it's like unless you're looking for a job right at the time. I'm sure some of our listeners right now are looking for jobs, and it's tough to get that kind of feeling unless you're actually in the thick of it, like trying to contact stupid HR departments and
if you've got a job, you don't think there's anything wrong with the country,
right? Exactly.
Right?
Yeah,
it's how it works, and there's nothing wrong with that, I guess, because most people don't, look, they just don't pay attention and find out what's happening in the rest of the world.
To my sister about that today, actually, about people looking for jobs and stuff like that, and this applies in electronics as much as anything else, but like when you're talking to someone and you say, I'm looking for a job right now, and then you find out so maybe you talk to Dave, right, and Dave says, oh yeah, I work at Altium, even though he used to work at Altium, right, and then you say, oh, can you get me a job at Altium, right? That's a really tough thing to do, actually, when you walk up to someone and say, hey, can I get some help with a job at Altium? Because if they don't know about a job immediately, what they'll often do is they'll just give you the default response of, oh, well, here's our HR group, which is the worst thing in the world, and you don't want that at all.
Oh, of course. No, of course.
And so, like, there's a subtle art to being, like, annoying about it to the point of, like, okay, so you don't know about any jobs, but who can you introduce me to that does know about jobs or that can hire me or make a job for me?
It depends a lot on the company and the culture. I mean, someone like Altium and other companies, they're always continually hiring, almost. Like because it's so hard to find good people that match the company culture and all that sort of stuff. So they don't really advertise jobs as such often. It's more like, oh, you're really good. Okay, we'll hire you. And we'll
that's good.
Put you in a group somewhere. It's not always that formal.
Well, that's good. And if people are looking, that's the kind of thing to look for, because then it's like, you get in there, right? Even if you go in as like, a technician, if you're, maybe you're trained as an engineer, but you get in as a technician, like that's that kind of foot in the door thing is stellar, because then you do hear about the job before anyone else does, and that's.
Yeah.
And, you make a little dough in the meantime.
I can remember a job I got way back in 94, maybe, at a FPOS company, Keycorp. And it was through a recruitment consultant, and the recruitment consultant had no idea if they had any jobs going, but they said, oh, look, they're always looking for people, so look, I'll just, arrange an interview with this. So I went in there, talked to the engineering director, and he went, had an interview, oh, there's no jobs going, but yeah, we'll hire you, because you're good, right? So like, I like you and you answered all my questions, and okay, I'll hire you. And he hired me, and I, turned up for the first day. Right, what do I do? Oh, I don't know, just, go around, just hang around, talk to people. Yeah, seriously.
Man.
I didn't have a job description, nothing. Like, it was almost like, I was almost sort of hired as his sort of personal design assistant kind of thing, like the engineering director. It was like, anything he wanted, because he's a busy guy.
Pet projects,
so anything,
that kind of thing, right?
Yeah, pet projects. So anything he sort of wanted to, wanted to do and didn't have time for, he just handed off to me. And eventually I sort of, found my way into a particular group. I was sort of, eventually, but I still kind of had that thing where, if he had something for me to do, he'd come straight to me and, can you work on this? And,
I have never heard of anything like that before.
Really?
And honestly, that sounds like a great idea. But the thing, so I was thinking about this the other day too. Like, so, I was working in the fab for a while, but then getting back into the electronic side of things, like I started in 2008. And so if my experience has been 2008 to now, there hasn't been much good of anything in that time. Right. And so, and I think I've said on the show before, but a year where I'm not getting a pay cut seems like a raise, and a year when I get a raise, even if it's like 0.1%, it's like, oh, hey, who's going to the casino, boys? Like, it's just like this mentality of, and then I hear stories like that where, it wasn't as lean of times, right? You weren't designing $30 tablets, not like I'm designing $30 tablets, but, there wasn't as much price pressure, and you could do that kind of thing, and there could be a culture like that. But I would be very interested to know if that kind of stuff still happens today, either Australia, States, anywhere else.
It still happens, because it still happens when a company gets a big influx of money. And in my case, this was a company that had recently floated. I think they were on the stock market. They had recently floated, so they had, they were flooded with all this, cash, and they were hiring just people, willy nilly. And I must say, it only lasted 9 months before the bubble burst. Right, they lost the contract, and boom, they sacked half the company, including me. Right, so right. But it was a
details, David.
Exactly. And that's not uncommon at all. It's
See now, but this kind of brings it back to that other point too, right? So I'm not designing $30 tablets. I never have, nor will I ever design $30 tablets or tablets in general. And there are these industries where like I'm in the industrial space, right? Industrial space is pretty well
totally
priced
different.
Yeah, I mean, like
totally different ballgame.
I designed something with 10 components on it that cost 10 times as much as a tablet would cost, right? That has
and you spend a year to do
1,000.
It.
Right, exactly. Yeah, thinking about the difference. I mean, there's different design requirements, but at the same time, like if you look at just pure complexity, I mean, there's a stark difference there, and so like, I guess it's just volume. I guess it's just a volume times a unit price kind of thing. Where if you sell 1 million widgets at $30 versus 1,000 widgets at $300, that's still, you're still not making as much money, and you're not getting as good pricing and everything else, but.
Well, it's also what your company sets out to achieve, right? People producing these tablets, right? They don't have a reputation to protect, right? And their number one, when they go into it and to actually design it, we need it next month. That's it. We're going to, we'll throw out whatever you happen to have at the end of the month, right? However, whatever point your design states in, we're not going to perfect it. We have no reputation to protect. We have nothing. Right,
and then testing cycles and all the reliability and warranties.
Who cares, right? Exactly.
Yeah, and I guess that
all
stuff
that
is all
is
priced
insignificant.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Whereas in the industrial space, it's totally different, right? That's why it takes 5 times longer to produce something from an industrial company, or or in our space, for example, like the test and measurement industry at Agilent or a Fluke, right? They're not just going to slap something out the door, throw something out the door. Right? It takes a long time. It takes a lot of effort.
It takes 18 months and then you throw it out the door.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe.
Right. Yeah. It takes 18 months, you delay it another 6 months, you promise it, and then, eventually it slips out the back.
Right. Oh, boy.
Well, I saw the same kind of thing. So there was another post I saw on Reddit. I don't remember what subreddit it was on, but it was talking about, $10 prosthetic hand, which was this very heartwarming story about this hand that this father and son were printing together for for disability the kid had, and it said $10 versus $20,000 for the prosthetic, but it's like in that $20,000 there's a lot of other stuff priced in. It's not just $10 of plastic and then $19,990 of greed. It's like
right.
There might be a little bit in there, but it's not all just greed. It's like
right.
Yeah. So it's tough. It's tough when you're trying to make those comparisons too, right? I mean, like when Adam Wolf was on the show, he was talking about that, how people, come in expecting an iPhone, right? It's like, well, yeah, yeah, you get $500 for an iPhone, but, well, come on, folks.
The $50 one's not going to be quite the same.
Yeah.
It can't be. It's physically impossible.
Did you, speaking of
iPhones?
Dumb ideas and medical electronics, did you see that post I put up about the guy that shoved electronics under his skin?
Oh, I have looked at it. It's
so squeamish warning for everyone. I'm pretty squeamish myself, and this is a pretty gross picture.
What is it? What did he put under there? I see the photo.
He put like a development board under there, like.
I don't even want to press play on the video. I don't think.
I didn't. I'm just looking at the picture, and it's all like,
and it's
all red and infected,
Arduino.
and like it's a square. Yeah, and it's like it says Arduino, but I don't know if it's actually an Arduino.
It's based on. I think it's built on top of or something.
Oh, what? Man, you could have made it so much smaller. Please, if anyone's considering shoving stuff under their skin, please give a listener of the Amp Hour a call, and we'll help you design it smaller. We won't take any liability on it, but my God, it just looks so painful. It's so hard to look at.
I'm morbidly fascinated. I've got to press the play button.
I know. So, and someone pointed this out in the Reddit comments, when I posted the story too. Well, didn't John from Freetronics also... Oxford, sorry, didn't he
but
also
it was an RFID chip. It was just
very tiny.
It's designed to be implanted, right? They're designed to go into dogs and stuff,
dogs.
right? It's the same one, right? Yeah.
But yeah, BioSafe is a very important thing as well. And
of course. No, this was like properly. Yeah, this is properly sterilized, encapsulated. Yeah.
Well, and like what's that called? What's that type of? There's like a certain type of food, not food grade plastic, but like medical grade plastic and all that other stuff, so it doesn't leak different chemicals and all that crap. Oh, it's just I gotta turn this off. Anywho, if you're squeamish like me, don't stare at it too long or don't stare at it at all. But don't stuff. I don't know. There's this weird group, like all these biohackers and body modders and
that is gross, man.
Like putting I don't know. Oh yeah, I know. I mean, like Google Glass makes you look nerdy, but this
the masochists into pain and whatnot. I mean, some people enjoy this shit. Well, so be it, right?
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, I don't want to take anyone's hobby away from them. I'm just saying,
right?
From a practical standpoint,
think twice.
Think small. That's what I'm trying to say here, Dave.
Right. Imagine trying to get through.
Technologies are shrinking. You should not be putting any dips in your body.
Imagine trying to get through a TSA screening point with this.
Yeah, right. It starts blinking and everything. That's nothing.
No, it's nothing. It's not going to explode, honestly. And as soon as you say the word explode, then you get guns pointed at you.
Yeah, right. Oh man.
It's just no.
Okay.
Is he going to take it out? What has he taken it out, or is he planning to leave it in there? What's the story?
I can't look at it anymore, to be honest.
Right.
Yeah. So.
Oh boy. Yeah.
I know. So,
nice goatee. Sorry, I'm just admiring his goatee.
His what?
Goatee.
Oh, goatee. Oh.
Is that how you pronounce it in Yankee speak? Goatee?
Goatee, yeah, that's how.
A little bit of flavor saver on the chin,
So now for something completely different, because I got to get my mind off this. So Jack Gansel's news. Obviously, we've had Jack on the show before. I think it was a very early episode, actually.
Oh yeah, God, we've been going for years, dude.
Yeah, I know. But he had a great article in his newsletter this week about debugging, actually, right? So obviously he does a lot of embedded systems and stuff like that. And he made a great point about, how it was based on some other article where as your system size goes up, Philip Armour's column about as your system size goes up, you're more likely to kind of just twiddle and kind of tinker with variables inside a program and just kind of see if it works, try it and reset, and what he was saying though is that like if you slow down and actually capture this stuff, it makes for better debugging, because then not only do you actually think about it before you start doing these things,
which
you also
helps.
have a log. yeah, exactly, yeah. But you have a log of the things you've tried. And I was going to ask you, I mean, do you keep track other than non-video?
I am freaking hopeless. So many times I've, like, you know, I'm doing exactly that, right? I'm debugging an embedded project, right? And I'm hacking some code in there to, you know, display a variable on the LCD or something like that. You know?
Right.
Because that's how I like to debug projects. You know, I like to actually get feedback from the product itself. You know, if it has an LCD, I'll use the LCD for debugging.
Right,
know?
Or Blinky if that's how you got.
Blinky if that's how you. Yeah, exactly. You know, two blinks for this variable got updated, or something like that. Right, and so many times I'll get that sinking feeling that I've done this before. I've checked this bit before, and I don't have any record of actually doing that, especially if it was like a week ago. Or you know, it's a project you work on last month, and you come back to it, and you just end up doing the same debugging shit over and over again.
Right. You got the same bag of tricks. You pull the same ones out. You check the power supply enough times, and it's like, this must have changed this. Nope, hasn't changed yet.
No, it's exactly the same as when I last tested it. I just forgotten that I tested it, you know?
Yeah.
And
that happened with me.
I don't have the discipline to do that sort of thing. Unless I'm
really
forced to by company procedure, which is different. You know,
I've never had that.
you've got to document, you know, the development. You know, I've worked on projects where, you know, everything has to be documented, and so that every part of the development
that'd be a good
process.
training thing. Is you're like learning how to debug. That's a good idea, like to have that structure. But then, I don't know. That gets that's pretty tedious.
No, you spend half your time documenting.
Yeah.
You know?
I'm sure that, you know, like, and much to Jack's point as well, I mean, like, you can probably save a lot of time by, you know, having that record there and being able to say, okay, well, I have tried this now. Yeah. I'm not going to repeat it 4 times over the course of the entire debug cycle. But yeah, I don't know, like, I guess that is just good documentation, right? You know, writing stuff down, having either a lab notebook or I always like wiki pages for documenting progress and stuff like that, but
no,
I guess blogging.
I'm old school. It goes on a post-it note, you know, and the post-it notes get lost, and well, you know, it's doesn't quite work. I used to be an engineering, you know, notebook kind of guy, but you know, it's I don't know. I just can end up losing it, misplay, you know, or it's not, you know, I'm not going to go rummage around for my notebook, which is, you know, in the bookshelf somewhere. You know, if I'm sitting at the bench, I don't need to record that. I'll remember that.
Right.
You know, it's not important enough to, you know, exactly. It's just not important enough. You don't think it's important enough.
Right.
And
there must be some kind of tool that could help. I mean, like, I would think, like, I don't know, Google Glass or something like. I mean, like, obviously that's, you know, kind of an off the cuff comment there, but like, you know, some kind of video, like, because like even going back through and then like say you recorded something once in a while, right? You know, even if you had a regular video camera, right? You hit record. Okay, I'm going to try this test now.
Yep.
You're not going to go back and watch it, right? I mean,
you're
like,
never going to. It's too time consuming. It always comes back to this sort of documentation stuff. Always comes back to an issue of data. Sorting and data retrieval. It's a database issue.
So I think it's cultural though too, right? Because I think if you're followed by people, like if people around, you know, your office do the same kind of thing, you'll probably follow some of the same conventions as well, right? Nothing was more difficult for this kind of thing when I was working on control system type stuff, like actually chasing variables around a loop.
That sort of stuff I end up writing down. You know, that's you know, really important stuff that takes, you know, if you set up an experiment to test it and it took you hours, then you're going to, you know, feel compelled to document that somewhere. Right. At a minimum.
Well, but even that, I mean, like in terms of like feeling insane, right? I mean, like, you know, if you're chasing variables around a loop, right, where you say, okay, well, at the input of the, you know, of the control loop, it's, you know, 2 volts, and over here it's 1 volt, and at the feedback point it's half a volt. And then if I change the other one to 2 volts, now I got to change the other ones, and it's like, if you don't have a table of values and like a predefined scientific experiment, like a actually following scientific method where you have a hypothesis,
wandering around in the dark aimlessly.
Oh my God, that was a hard one.
Pissing up a flagpole.
Yeah.
Pissing into the wind.
Oh God, it was so terrible. You learn fast though.
Yeah,
and-
you do.
Yeah, I would be interested to learn about it if people do have other tools as well. Like learning about that kind of thing. Anything helps in that case. I mean, like sometimes it's just academic or intellectual rigor, right? Of actually taking the time to write it down and being burned enough times that you bother to. But if people have other shortcuts, I love shortcuts too.
Well, there's never going to be a universal solution for it. That use this tool and it's the duck's gut. It's just never going to happen.
Right.
It's like, oh, you must use GitHub for everything. It's just not.
You don't have to. It's just I like it.
Right, but it's not the tool for every job.
No, I agree.
Kind of, to use a software analogy.
Yeah. I learned another hard lesson this weekend. Actually, this is not. It's sort of tangentially related, but I bought like a
how daylight saving works.
No, shut up, Dave. No, it was a piece of crap tool that I had bought. I bought like a power washer.
What's like a jet washer for cleaning a car or whatever,
for like cleaning
or
a car or a deck or a house, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And it basically ended up, troubleshooting it. I turned it on and it didn't work, and it was because it was this piece of crap. Like I bought it 2 years ago, and it was designed to last a year and a half, even though it's designed to last 2 years and a day when the warranty is 2 years, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But it's the same kind of thing that I've run into a ton of times before, where trying to decide, how do you decide when you do pay for quality tools? Like what is?
Well, look, I've got the classic example. I just did a video on a cheap ass desolderer sucker, right?
Oh yeah,
desolder sucker. That's desoldering tool.
I call it solder sucker. Yeah,
you're right. Tool, yeah. And I mentioned in the video I had the same dilemma, right? I don't run a repair shop here, right? So I'm not sucking out thousands of components every week. I might be lucky if I need to suck off one through-hole component a month. That'd be a high throughput for me. Right, so I've always gotten by without it, and if I needed one, I've always had one at work. So that's why I've never had one in the lab. So I decided to get one here, knowing full well that I'll only use it very
2 times
sparingly.
a year. Yeah.
So I decided to buy the cheap ass sub $200 one instead of the proper name brand $600+ one. And
really,
it
much?
Didn't work out of the box. Oh yeah, especially here in Australia, you pay the Australia tax in quote marks. On Heiko.
What's that?
Stuff,
just like Oh.
Yeah, the markup, the artificial markup in Australia.
Oh, just because of availability
for
and
some
stuff?
products,
You guys are the backwater of the world.
Exactly. So, something you can buy for $200 on Amazon suddenly is $600 here.
Yeah, well,
because
I'll ship it to you for
it's a
$350.
Yeah.
Just saying.
Right. Yeah, but then I still
could
have
start
to buy
an
a
import-export
transformer
business
to operate.
like James Bond, right? I could just travel the world.
That's it.
Anyways.
Anyway, so I bought, against my better judgment, I bought the cheap ass tool, and sure enough, out of the box, it didn't work, or at least I think so, because I opened it up first before turning it on. But the solder joint cracked right on the connector, and the thing didn't work, and I had to fix it before before it would work. And once I got it working, it was okay, but it feels like it's not going to last forever. But for my purposes, probably good enough. So I'm reasonably happy with it, just ignoring the fact that it had a cheap ass cracked solder joint in it that just fell off.
Yeah.
I'm reasonably it actually performed quite well.
Oh, okay. That's not what I expected to happen at the end. I thought I expected you to throw it in the dumpster room and then find another monitor or something.
Right. No, this one actually worked quite well. It worked in my experience, worked as good as the name brand one. But will it continue to work? I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I was looking at that. I mean, the same kind of thing happened where it was like, I ended up approaching the problem like, okay, I know how to modify. Like, basically, I ended up getting a repair kit for this thing that I had, and then nothing fit together, right? I'm like, I can modify this, even though it's 1400 psi, and I shouldn't have done that. But I at least wanted to try it, and blow my hands off.
Right.
But I think at that point though, the real measure is, even if it's cheap in terms of final assembly, if you have decent input components where it's it's actual solid metal for certain things,
right? Yeah, of course.
Decent fittings, decent cables, that kind of thing. If you actually have
a cheap ass plastic outer case, isn't going to matter much.
Exactly. Yeah. If it's branding, if it's that kind of stuff, it doesn't matter. Like the example I was thinking of is like the the milling machines you can get from Harbor Freight, or actually like this is from this company called Sieg, SIEG. And they make the X2 and the X3, and like people take these, and basically they're decent enough quality where like even Grizzly Tools sells them,
right?
And you could basically take them and mod them, and then like there's like a whole community around hacking those things. But it's because they have decent enough input stuff, and you can kind of zero in for the accuracy and stuff like that. But the same kind of thing goes where if the input components for that solder sucker you have was good enough, then maybe it's not as big a deal if you're going with the knowledge of, okay, I'm going to have to hack this thing.
Well, the other reason I got it is because it had cheap replacement parts available locally, right? Because often, these things, right, you either can't buy the replacement parts or they cost a fortune, right? Whereas in this case there, like, spare filters were $1. A spare tipper's like $9, and even the whole gun itself is like $30. Yeah. So that's like, that's a bargain.
Yeah.
In terms of, as long as they keep selling it, of course. I mean, in 10 years' time, I doubt I'm going to be able to buy a new handpiece for it.
Yeah, well, that's the problem I've had. That's the problem I had this weekend with the tool I was working on, but also with other soldering irons in the past where you can't get the actual iron anymore. You could still buy the base for some reason, but you can't actually get the iron. It's like, okay, or you don't get it. Like I think the first soldering iron I ever got. My folks gave it to me for Christmas, and the next day I go onto the website to see if I can get replacement tips because it only came with one. Yeah. And they're like, nope, we discontinued that a month ago. I'm like, I guess my parents got it on sale.
Right. Well, that kind of, for some reason, this popped in my head. An old forum thread here. Somebody, they're at a school. They're a student, right? And and their school bought a whole bunch of those, dumbass old school tech, TBS 1000 series scopes, right? Ancient technology, right? 18-year-old technology, and they're still selling that shit, right? And he asked, look, would the school have been better off, buying a new feature-packed Rigol, for example, for the same price? And well, it can go both ways. The answer is it depends, because...
well, it depends what you're looking at, right?
Yeah, it depends. Well, it depends what you're looking at. It depends on what the support is like, right, in terms of the warranty and replacement and stuff like that. It depends on what sort of materials are supplied with it in terms of, teaching materials and things like that.
See, now, okay, so...
Will the same scope be available in 10 years' time? See, that's the thing. Yeah. Right? If you're using old notes, teaching notes that were written 15 years ago for the old model, they're still going to be relevant for the new model.
Right. And getting new ones might be more costly. Yeah. Well, the other thing that I think that those are all very good points as well. So the thing that I always think back to is like when I started playing guitar, I was really appreciative of like the piece of crap guitar that I started on.
You're right.
Because like when you start on a bad scope or a bad guitar, any kind of piece of crap equipment, you either figure out how to fix it when you have to, or you just appreciate when you move up a model, right? You're like, God, you can, you have any kind of memory depth on this new scope, or, like this guitar actually doesn't buzz when you hit it on a certain fret, right. Like all these kind of things where like, if I would have started, like I think about people who start into hobbies like that, where they, they get like a $5,000 guitar or a $50,000 scope right out of the gate. They don't understand what's good about that kind of stuff, and you can't really appreciate it. Eventually, when you have to use the other
limitations.
Stuff.
You don't learn the limitations of it, right? Because you can learn a lot through trying to get around the limitations of your tools. Right. That can take you in certain directions and force you to learn a lot of stuff.
Right. How about Alan Wolke's entire channel, right? I mean, like, it's like okay, so like the tech scopes have been around for, 40 years now. You've been able to do a lot of this stuff for a long time. It's just you had to work a little bit more on it in the past.
Yeah, that's right.
Triggering.
You have to count.
Right? Triggering.
Yes, triggering. You had to count divisions and,
counting.
And invert that time time value on a calculator, to get your frequency,
Yep. Yeah. Damn kids and your fancy ass scopes.
And your damn auto set buttons and your
I know.
boy.
But sometimes the old stuff's good too. I mean, like the old stuff, like you can not old stuff, but like simple stuff, like you could still get quality out of it, right? And sometimes you actually save money by going simpler, like this paste press. So I forgot his name. I think it was John, maybe. I don't remember who sent it to me. But it's a solder paste dispenser. And
I
it's
saw
like
this.
60.
Yeah.
You saw this? Yeah, it was like $60.
Yeah.
And I was comparing. I'm like, oh, well, you can get. This is actually a really good example, right? You can get a solder paste dispenser on like eBay for like $100, right? So like the actual vacuum, not the vacuum ones, but the compressor ones, where you actually puff out air and it pushes air down into a little syringe, and then it pushes out solder paste at like measured intervals with a foot pedal.
Yep.
And you can do that, except the $100 one is probably going to break in about a day because it's got an air compressor, and that means it's got O-rings, and it's probably got crappy O-rings. Well, this is this paste press is actually more like a caulk gun, where you're squeezing out from pushing from the back basically, and it's some mechanical action, that kind of thing, and it's actually like a slow dispense, and it's real controlled and that kind of thing. It looks stupid simple, but it's actually
I didn't know how it
calibrated
worked.
to your hand.
Got like a big handle on it, plus I didn't know the thing screwed up. I wondered how it worked. I've only had a brief look at it.
Yeah, it looks kind of like a stapler.
You turn the screw up, and that puts pressure behind the syringe, and then the trigger lets out a controlled.
No. So as you push down the trigger, basically it pulls down the plunger into the syringe, right? So like you ever used a caulk gun before, where you're actually pushing caulk out the front of it.
Right, so you're using a leverage kind of, a large extension of your hand gives a very small extension of the lever in the gun.
Exactly, exactly. Yeah, you're using the leverage gun. There, right. You're translating motion. But I mean, so like for doing solder paste stuff at home, and I was, I was looking at this, and it's like, I've never done solder paste stuff at home before. I've done it, with work stuff where we had high quality compressor stuff, but like this is good. I like this. Being able to do this, and then you throw down a little skillet thingy, and this. I mean, and honestly, it's becoming a necessity almost, right? I mean, between this and then some magnification, it's like, certain parts you just can't like for contextual electronics. One of the parts that I'm using only comes in a T-SOP, and it's like T-SOP's doable with drag soldering. I know, but like in terms of like if you're just starting out. Right. I mean, it's good to learn that technique, but it's like sometimes you want to get it right and just have it work, So doing surface mount from home, reflow from home would be nice.
Yep.
Plus, it's
I still don't have a proper reflow set up here. I don't do it enough. Like I just, you either do the drag solder or, because keeping paste in the fridge and stuff. I don't even have a fridge here at the lab, right? So
really?
I can't.
Oh, you
even
don't drink beer?
Yeah.
That's why.
No, I don't drink beer. So, so I can't.
Gotta work on that.
I've been thinking about getting one just for, maybe I can keep something in there, including solder paste.
You're gonna find one eventually in your little garbage room there. You will.
Oh yeah, well yeah, probably. Well, there was one there the other day, but it looked pretty crusty. I thought,
finding old tuna salad from like 4 years ago.
Yeah, have to fumigate that thing,
Mm-hmm.
And so no thanks.
Yeah, I've actually never done this. The skillet method before. A lot of people talk about that, but I've actually never tried that. I've always had an actual
I don't
oven.
like the skillet. I would get a proper
like a pizza
infrared oven.
Yeah.
Well, pizza oven. Once again, I found everything I needed down in the garbage room. I found a pizza oven down in there, but it wasn't the convection type, right? And which is the one you really need. The convection one is the best, with that fan that circulates the hot air, because you get a more even.
Is that the one?
Temperature inside.
Mike, was it Mike that had one? He had a pizza oven or something.
Yeah. A lot of people have them, and they're pretty good. Because you don't need, contrary to popular belief, you don't need a fancy timer for it. Look, this thing only takes a minute.
Stopwatch and maybe an eyeball.
Just a cheap stopwatch put on top. You press the button and it dings when you walk over to it and you press stop. Because it's going to have a gradual ramp up anyway, which is going to be. Near enough. I mean, it doesn't match the exact profile, but
you're going to burn a couple boards
enough.
First too, and then you figure it out. It's like,
right.
Just don't put your production level board in when you're
right when you're first
out,
learning this thing. But
yeah,
no, these things are generally pretty good. It's actually, they're pretty good in terms of, once again, if you get the convection type, because they're because they're hard to go over temperature. Because they're, the sensor in it is sensing the circulated air, and so they have less hotspots inside and stuff like that.
Right.
So,
right.
Yeah. Whereas if you just get the infrared one and it's just baking your board and the sensor's off in one corner, right, it's not measuring the temperature on your board, which could be, 100, 200 degrees hotter than,
I thought solder mask was supposed to be green. Not anymore.
Oh, those were the days where really, they hadn't perfected solder mask technology yet, and you'd get your boards back even from the professional assembly houses, and they change colour, because the chemistry technology in solder. I'm talking, 1980s, early maybe 90s, early 90s
right.
here, late 80s was the first time I saw it. Yeah, and that was common to get your solder mask back, and it'd change colour.
Huh.
And they went, there's nothing we can do about it. It's just how the chemistry is, and it's
wrong.
Yep. Well, that's what the industry said. Yeah, we don't like this, so please, chemists, get your ass into gear and give us some chemistries that stay the same colour. And sure enough, people don't think about that today. But if you get it hot enough, you can still do it.
You damn kids with your purple solder mask and your cheap stuff.
When I was a boy, it was green, and it changed a funny yellow when we put it through the oven.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
Well, that's another thing about that. So that go back.
And it would bubble, and it would bubble up. Hey.
Gross.
Yep.
That article from Jack too. I was thinking about that. Talking about the old school days of having to do that for compilers and stuff like that, where you actually had you didn't have much computing time. You were really careful about what you're doing. That's kind of a good analog to what you have to do for PCBs, right? I mean, compile time on a PCB is about what, 3 weeks. I mean, depending how much you pay, right? But it's you have to kind of do the same things. You have to have those where you want to think things out. You don't want to screw things up. You can't just change a variable. Yep. Well, you can change a variable if a variable is a resistor, right? But or a resistor value.
But you've got to put thought into the design to begin with, so that you can have a bit of flexibility in your final,
for
those contingencies. We've talked about that before.
Of course. Actually, you see, they're trying to do this in production now too with these Motorola is doing the modular smartphone. You see that thing?
Oh, I heard. Yeah, there was some. I haven't looked into the details. I heard about it. What is it?
Because there was a thing. There was a thing a while ago that we never talked about called phone blocks that everybody was making fun of.
Yes, that's right.
Right.
Yeah, everyone was making fun of it.
And then Motorola comes out and they're like, "Hey, we're doing phone blocks effectively." It's like, oops.
But is it? Is it really?
Well,
is it?
I don't know.
I doubt it. Come on, I doubt it. It's just not.
I
too
dream of modular electronics, right? I love the idea of it, right?
Yeah, so do I. I've been dreaming of that since I was a young whippersnapper.
Yeah, right. Cost is the thing.
The cost of practicality.
Just go surfing for connectors and look at how much that costs in relation to all of the tiny bits of sand that do all the processing on your board, right? I was complaining about this at work the other day. I can buy a chip that does 16 channels of AD measurement for $3, and I have to pay $7 for a big bulky plastic connector, and it's just plastic. There's a little bit of metal and a lot of plastic.
That's a cheap connector. I've paid hundreds for connectors.
I know, right? I mean, it's frustrating. These stupid differences, and then you have a modular platform, right? And you have if you want to design in reliability into that, you need good connection points at least, even if it's not a physical connector. If it's just contact points, but then you still got to design in quality there somewhere, the mechanical side of things.
Nothing worse than cheap ass connectors. Oh
yeah. I have to say,
get me started.
If there's one argument against a chip printer, it's actually the mechanical, the cost of doing mechanical right is really expensive.
Hello?
Right?
Of course you can print a chip.
Yeah.
That's my whole argument. Yes, you can print a chip. You can print a chip now, but
right, actually,
is it
there's an article
practical?
about it.
No, it's not practical. There's a million. I know you put something on there again, you fool.
Oh, whatever.
You're just going to be proved wrong every time, right?
This is fun, though.
You just admitted it. It's the practicality
I do agree that the mechanical side is the tough part, and that's
Thank you.
That's the hard part. No, you don't win. That's the tough part. It doesn't mean it's Dave. That's like saying, "Oh, well, we'll never get to the moon."
It's not. It's possible. The moon is a defined goal that was practical. This thing's not. When you already have alternative solutions called DigiKey, where you can buy 200,000 chips, fully tested, characterized, packaged, off the shelf for $1. It's pointless. It's never going to happen.
Are you finished?
It's not like it's like saying,
anyways,
no,
this
I'm
week
not. It's like
thin
going
film
to the moon. Nobody had ever gone to the moon, right? It was like it's not like you could go to the moon for $10. Not the same thing.
This
what
week,
a crap
Thin
analogy.
Film developed a printed transistors and stuff. I think it's interesting from a sensor standpoint.
I'm doing the whoop-de-doo.
Yeah,
twirling my finger in the air.
Yeah, yes.
Yeah.
Hey, look, there's my mom. Whoopee. Anyways, so they did print, but the interesting thing is not just they printed sensors, because they've been doing that for a while, but they actually printed a bunch of the processing for the sensors as well. And so we'll link that in just to piss Dave off, because, I do the show notes. Driving behavior like that.
Or something that you're pissed off about.
What?
A celebrity calling themselves an engineer.
Oh, yeah. This got my goat this week.
Right.
We can end on a little bit of a rant.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
Ashton Kutcher.
Yeah.
If that's how you pronounce it. I think so. It's like, yeah.
So this story actually made me go back and watch That 70s Show, because I hadn't seen it in so long, and that was actually the thing that I really liked.
Was he on that? Was he?
Yeah, he was Kelso on that. He was awesome.
All right.
He was the stoner hippie dude who was hilarious. Right. And then he goes and tries to be a serious actor, and then he tries to be an engineer. But basically, Lenovo, formerly IBM,
serious actor when you're on 2.5 Men.
Yeah, but he did the Steve Jobs. So that's the thing that bugs me about this. I think that this is all promotion.
I haven't watched that yet. Yeah.
I haven't either. It's only in theaters, but it's like he played Steve Jobs in some biopic that they just did, and now he's being listed as an engineer, right? And so my main thing with this is actually not that it's Ashton Kutcher being called an engineer. It's the fact that his job there is being a marketing person. He's being a quote-unquote product engineer, which is a marketing person, and that it's the fact that marketing people call themselves engineers. That's what bugs me.
He's claiming, to be fair, he's claiming that he's not that, right? Because that's what a lot of these celebrities do, and he claims that's what makes him different, is that he has actually studied biochemical engineering, is it? And he actually is... Yeah. No, he didn't finish, right? But that's beside the point. He's actually done some study in the field, and he claims that he is actually working, on the specs of the thing on the actual product development side.
No, I don't.
Well, that's what he's claiming.
So that's like me saying, okay, well, I went to college for, I didn't obviously, but how about you? You went to a acting college, right? Whatever that program was. You did that program there, right? So you didn't.
Yeah, but I don't call myself an actor because I'm not.
Right, but he's not an engineer. He didn't graduate as an engineer.
No. It doesn't matter whether or not he graduates or whether or not his qualifications are. This comes down to the fact: are you doing the job of an engineer? Yes or no? If you are, that's your vocation. That's your vocation. Therefore, you deserve to get the title because that's what you're doing. And if he's actually doing real engineering work on this product, i.e. being involved in the design review meetings, I think it's too far of a stretch to call himself a product.
You are right that I should not say that about school, because that obviously does not matter at all. Obviously, I've said that many times on the show before as well. Like people do engineering without having an engineering degree. However, come on.
No. Well,
you think he's programming? You think he's programming a yoga tablet? You think he's designing? So
that's what he claims, right? So who am I to call him a liar, right?
I'm going to call him a liar. I'm
okay,
going to call
fine.
all marketing people who collect specs a liar. I'm a people person, damn it.
All right. Well, I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt. Okay, he claims that he's working on the design specs of this thing. It sort of implies he's working on the design team. I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt.
Whatever.
And he is specifically saying, this is what celebrities do. They, just put their name to something, and it's just bullshit, right?
Yeah,
They're just a marketing thing. He claims he's doing more than that. He claims he's doing a lot more.
That's not
and
my
he's
main
actually
argument.
involved.
My main argument is that he's a marketing person, and that it's marketing people in general that do that kind of thing. And so the bigger question here is if he did the same thing where he said,
don't confuse the two. He's being used because he's a celebrity, being used as a marketing vehicle. But that can be a totally separate issue to him having actually done some real engineering on this thing.
No, I'm saying that he's being a marketer. I'm not saying he's a marketing tool. Like, he is a marketing tool in this case as well.
Oh, there's no doubt there, right? Yeah.
Yeah, no doubt about that. But
yeah.
I'm saying that being a product engineer, I think is a marketer. And but the bigger thing is
okay, right. I see what you mean. So you're saying people who work on the specs of the products aren't real engineers. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, yeah. It's probably a smaller point, but I'm just angry about this in general, so I'm going to take it.
You're just a different kind. You're not a designer. Well, no, you could say you're a design engineer because you're working on the specs, right? It depends on how you define your job role, right? Who are you to say that some good design engineer who didn't actually lay out the board, didn't actually cut any code, didn't actually choose the components, had nothing to do with that, but was involved in the design review meetings and the engineering of how the product works?
So you're a manager?
Right?
Is that right? Are you a manager then?
No, but you're in,
How about this, Dave? Here's the real thing. Here's what the real issue is to me.
Design engineering manager, right? You can be a design engineering manager. You're still an engineer.
I disagree,
right?
but it doesn't matter. This is all semantics, and we're really just blathering here.
Of course,
My main point is if I go and I say, so I had a post a while back about when I was working on wafers, right? I said I was a wafer doctoring because it's similar to kind of working in an ER, right? That's what I always kind of compared it to. But if I went out and I said I am Dr. Gamble because I'm a wafer doctor, I get sued by the American Medical Association or whatever. Like there's actual boards in place that get, like if I say I'm Chris Gamble Esquire because I argue points on the amp hour about electronics, I get in trouble for this, right? There is no recourse in engineering, right? Sanitation engineering
No, it's not. It's different. No, exactly. Yeah. This is an argument that I could probably find the link to the thread on the forum. This was discussed extensively, argued extensively on the forum about how somebody. Somebody, I can't remember who it was, sorry, but I think in the UK, they're from the UK, and they wanted to protect the title engineer. They wanted to you could only get the title engineer if you had the degree and you were certified by the body, And
they tried to do that with the PE here too, as well. The professional engineering.
Okay, right, yeah, and everyone shot them down in flames because of the basic thing that if you are doing the job of an engineer, that is your vocation, that is your role. Why can't you have the title?
Yeah.
If the company bestows it upon you,
that's the rub right there, right? I mean, and the difference is that because you don't need the certification, right? You don't have to go through a standards board or anything like that. It's convenient on one side of things, right? Because then you don't have to go take stupid tests. You don't have to do continuing education, all that kind of stuff. You can just design stuff and work on stuff, and that's nice. On the other side of it, though, because there aren't these boards protecting that kind of thing, that also holds wages down as well. Because then if, basically, for doctors and lawyers and other people that have that kind of thing, you have this constrained group,
and it's higher level. It's probably
supply and demand at that point.
Okay. Yeah. Right.
Yeah. And so basically, that's the argument. There's more hassle up front.
It's a higher barrier to entry. Yes,
exactly.
It's a bigger barrier to entry. Yeah, to become a doctor, you have to have a medical degree, right? And you've got to
be board certified, really.
And you've got to be board certified. You've got to be and a lawyer, you've got to be certified by the bar, right, or whatever it bloody well is.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, exactly. There's tons of bureaucracy in either case, right? I mean, like,
of course.
You have to deal with this kind of crap, and I have to complain about this, or you have to take tests and stress about. I think about my medical friends. They're taking board. Oh God, I stressed about the FE exam, but I can't imagine boards or the bar exam or anything like that. I mean, that's some insanity. But
here's my viewpoint on it. Right, if you're doing an engineering job, right, if you're actually doing the work, then you can call yourself an engineer, right? That's it. End of story. But what I hate, I'll tell you what I hate, is people who've, done their engineering degree and have never done a day's engineering work in their life, and they will call themselves, oh, yeah, I'm an engineer. That's bullshit. You're not. You have engineering qualifications.
Well, what do they go do then?
An example, well, they'll go do sales or they'll go do something else. Just because you've got an engineering degree does not make you an engineer. Just because you've got a
sales engineer
degree.
Are you is sales engineering a real thing, Dave?
Oh, well, that's because you've qualified the title, right? You've qualified it by saying I'm a sales engineer, which implies that you don't do any engineering.
I can sell you 10 types of engineer right here. Get your engineers today. We got short ones, fat ones, tall ones, nerdy ones.
And I use the example, right? I use the example of I'm a qualified fitness instructor, right? I have qualifications in fitness. Do I go around calling myself a fitness instructor? No, because that's not what I do for a living, right? I don't do it. So I don't go around calling myself, but I'm qualified.
You should do a video of like you doing like curls with a soldering iron.
Nerd, exactly.
EV blog fitness routine.
Somebody beat me to it. Nerd fitness. There's a channel.
I love nerd fitness. Steve Cam. Yeah.
Right. Okay.
That's a different kind of nerd though. That's really like more like geeky, like Star Wars and all that kind of stuff.
Right. Kind of. Yeah. Geek instead of electronics nerd.
But still, great site.
I mean, there's the thing, right? And it likewise for a doctor. If you've got your your medical thing, right, and you've never practiced as a doctor, you're not. Quite frankly, you shouldn't go around calling yourself a doctor, just because you have a bit of paper which says you've done your bachelor's in medicine. It means nothing. If you've never practiced it, you shouldn't go around giving yourself that title. I think it's. I think it's a sham.
It's always that balance point of the wanting to protect it, and then, but also then having to deal with the massive bureaucracy that takes to protect that kind of thing.
Our times, I'm sure we'll get a lot of comments on this, but I'm going to give poor old Ashton the benefit of the doubt. I think we need more.
Ashton,
maybe we should get him on the show. Let's get him on the show.
How about
using our extensive contacts?
How about no? How about no?
We get some hits, dude. We get hits.
I don't care. I don't care about hits, Dave.
Right.
You want hits? I'll give you hits. You know who's on the show next week?
Who's on the show next week?
Forrest Mims is on the show next week, man.
Oh, fuck. But, hang on. Let's do it in, like...
We're never going to sync up here.
We are not worthy. We are not worthy. Come on, bow down. We are not worthy. We are not worthy. Dude, I had Forrest Mims books when I was freaking 7 years old. Bought them at my local Tandy store / Radio Shack in Yanks. And, oh, man, I grew up on Forrest Mim books.
Yeah. So he is going to be on. He has... So... I follow him on Twitter at least, kind of keep track of what he's working on and stuff. He's been doing atmospheric science too, which is really interesting. He's been sending up space balloons and stuff like that and doing a lot of...
He's been doing that for like 20 years now or something. He's been doing it for a long time, I think. Oh, right.
I'm sure,
Yeah, I don't think he's done engineering for...
No, he has been. So he has been doing that stuff. Okay. Yeah, and so he's been building stuff for them as well. And so he sent me a huge list of the stuff he's been working on. It looks very exciting. Obviously, we'll talk to him about his past books and his legendary status, his very helpful participation in the 555 contest. And so I mean, tons of great projects. I'm sure What do you think? Anyone older than 30 is, like...
Oh, got it. Well, you can still buy his books today.
Of course,
can't you? They still sell them, The Forrest Mims Engineering Notebook.
Yeah.
I think it's still for sale anyway. But...
Oh, yeah. No, there's a bunch of books that are still available. Yep. So, but we'll ask them all about that. We need people to ask their questions of, giving stories to. We'll have a post a link to the subreddit. And, I'm very excited. Don't want to ever overshadow. We've known about this interview for a while, but don't want to overshadow past guests. So I can't tell you about future guests, but there's other good ones coming up as well. And
but they're not Forrest Mims.
Well, who could match, right? So
right.
Awesome. Anything else? I think how long have we been going here? I don't even know. It's been a while, right?
15.
It's no 3 hours. Sorry, folks.
No. Yep. We'll keep it to an hour. Yeah. People, I don't think people like it when we go too long.
When it's just me and you, we just start rambling more than usual.
I know.
Yeah.
Yeah. About Ashton freaking Kutcher.
Yeah.
Yep. Sorry about that, folks.
Yeah. All right, man. Well, I'll see you next week, and people should get their questions in for Force Mims.
I'm sure there'll be many. Awesome.
See ya.
Bye.
Ducks they quack and fish go blub and the seal goes ow, ow, ow. But there's one sound that no one knows. What does the fox say?
You know, I've really been meaning to write a review for the Amp Hour. I've been meaning to do this for weeks now.
What the fox say? What the fox say?
All day long, I just sit in my den, and I don't have anything to do, but the Amp Hour, it keeps me company. I love it.
What the fox say?